Now we've got a goal question here, and I've said this before, when we have a goal, when they're giving us an instruction, we need to follow that instruction. And here, this instruction kind of sucks. Which choice provides the best conclusion to the passage? So that means we probably need to read this whole passage. Luckily, we've done a lot of that by reading the other questions and answering those. So I don't think it's really necessary to go back and read from word number 1 to this very end point. We know enough. We have some dumb summaries that we can refer back to help us out. And also, that generally is a good rule of thumb, is if we can narrow our focus to fewer lines, we're more likely to understand what's going on. So one thing you might do is just read this end paragraph and kind of get a sense of what's going on. So it says, this is not to say that fare free public transportation is always a bad idea. So maybe that's a little bit positive, right? They're kind of saying it's mostly bad, but they're saying it's not always bad. Some college towns and resort communities embrace the model because buses can go faster when drivers would not have had to collect fares. So, okay, that's also positive, a good reason to implement it. For large cities looking to reduce automobile traffic, though, right, contrast, we're shifting, research about Tallinn, Estonia could be instructive. Well, I'm expecting something negative here. The though, that word is telling me a lot. And if we think back to our dumb summary, remember, we've had to read this third paragraph, this long one, a lot. And we know what it's about. It's about devastating budgets and the costs. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. Basically, money is bad. We're losing money from this policy. So that's enough for us to kind of know what this passage was doing. It was arguing that there's some real drawbacks to this. Now, choice A is just about one example that they brought up in one of the lines, right? Like, it's not about Estonia. That was one example they brought up to make a bigger point. It's not about this one place. It's about everywhere. Choice B, subways will prove to be more important than buses. Well, no, I don't care about subways. None of this is about subways. It doesn't matter. C, public transportation should be cheaper but not free. That's closer, right? I mean, maybe it should be cheaper. Fare-free public transportation is not the answer. So notice, both of these choices are saying the same thing. It should not be free. But choice C is also saying it should be cheaper. Now, I don't remember them saying that, right? This passage is very focused on one thing. It's saying that this idea is bad. It is not saying, here's another idea. Here's another thing that you should do. And that difference is really important. And because I was able to narrow my focus to just those two choices, using my dumb summary, I'm able to notice the difference between them. A lot of times on the SAT, you're going to get down to two choices that seem very similar. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? How do I pick between these two? I always seem like I picked the wrong one. Well, it's because you're probably just going with what you think and going by your instincts and not actually looking at what makes them different. Narrow your focus. They aren't the same. They are different. The SAT cannot give you two choices that are the same and have them both be right? So there must be a difference. Look for it. And in this case, the part in blue, the part that I underlined, that may be something that you personally believe. But I don't care. The SAT doesn't care. No one cares, because that's not what this author cares about. And we need to answer based on what the rest of the passage says. We're not allowed to bring in our own beliefs. We're not allowed to bring in new ideas, even if they may sound like great conclusions, hopeful conclusions that you yourself would write. Doesn't matter. There's no evidence supporting that this author thinks that, and that's why choice D is right. It only says one thing, whereas choice C says two things. And we have to support both those things if we're going to pick it. One of them doesn't have any support, so we're left with D, which just says one great thing, and that's it. So avoid bias, that's the key, and narrow your focus, and that'll help you do that.